While many people complain and hark back to the good old days when times were simpler and life was easier, today is actually the best time to be alive. We're happy headers, and we're going to talk about why it's best to be alive today, rather than other times. I mean, I'm a sucker for sentimentality. With friends, and you talk about, oh God, do you remember when we were growing up? There was no mobile phones, there was no internet. There was families sat down and they watched the same TV shows in the same room at the same time. Now you could have 5 or 6 people in a room and they're all watching different things.
If you were lucky to have a television at all.
If you're lucky to have a television, you sound like Monty Python now. You were
I
lucky.
remember wishing that you could have like your television on your watch. I remember lying in bed daydreaming.
You were watching Tomorrow's World. Do you remember that was a science program?
Beyond 2000.
Beyond 2000. We thought we'd all be flying around in spaceships in 2000.
We did.
Yeah, I remember when the comic 2000 AD came out. And that was in the probably late 1970s, and it was kind of it was all space age science fiction stuff. I know a guy who actually writes for 2000 AD
no way.
now. Yeah, and
theories. What's coming?
Well, we did sit down. And we did talk about this at one point, but it's all science fiction anyway. And I suppose the kids of today are looking for science fiction. What way will be in 50 years time?
Yeah.
But I was thinking this morning, like, about why we do complain about things now. That things are different, and it's harder to relax and harder to just step away from life. I've had medical procedure done just a couple of weeks ago. Had a strangulated strangulated hernia, and while I was in pain and bother with it, I wasn't doing the man thing. I kind of, I'll be all right, I'll be fine, I'll be okay. But I just happened to be in my doctor's surgery anyway, chatting to him, and I said, "We have a look at this." And he goes, "Yeah, you're going into hospital." And I said, "I don't want to go into hospital on a Friday. They're not going to do anything for me until Monday." He said, "No, go in. They're going to be operating on this tonight or tomorrow."
Oh my God.
And it was really urgent, and I could have lost my colon. But if I had been around in medieval times, I would have died from that.
Yeah.
A simple thing that it's a simple enough operation now, even though it was urgent. And then it got me thinking, gee, when I was 17, I nearly had a burst appendix. And I was on it was the night before my Leaving Cert started.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was doing a lot of preparation for my Leaving Cert. I was out playing pool with a friend and drinking pints of shandy and eating burgers. And I had this pain and discomfort in my abdomen, and I kind of ignored it. That would be fine. And then it got so bad at 3 o'clock in the morning, the doctor had to be sent for, and he said, "You're going into hospital. That's about to burst." And again, a couple hundred years ago, burst appendix, boom, you're gone. Completely.
Yeah. But even simple things like diabetes, penicillin, antibiotics, all of those kind of things that we have so easily now that help us get over sicknesses.
Yeah.
We didn't have those years ago. Like, somebody would have, died from diabetes years ago if they had it.
Yeah.
There was no insulin. It was just amazing when this was discovered.
My mother would have said that she remembers people died with a pain. And nobody knew what it was. They just died with a pain. It could have been anything.
My grandfather, actually, on my dad's side, died. He got an infection in his mouth. Now, they think it might have been mouth cancer or something that he got or something, but he died quite quickly, so it was obviously quite aggressive if it was cancer, but, he had something going on with his tooth. It could have been anything like that.
Yeah.
Sure, how many women cut themselves peeling potatoes and different things like that back in the day, and they died then of blood poisoning.
I got a garden rake through my foot when I was 7.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Jesus.
Again, I would have died.
Paul.
I've been in the wars.
You really have been, yeah.
And God doesn't like me.
Fortunate.
God doesn't like me for some reason.
Nothing that bad ever happened to me.
Yes. Sorry.
I fell off a horse once, that was all.
Just once. Once is enough to fall off a horse.
Really.
But when you think of it, I came across a statistic, and you'd be really interested in this. In 1920, it took a woman an average of 11 and a half hours to do a week's laundry.
My God, there's my poor mom. Mom, if you're listening to this.
Washing board, the washing board. They used to play music on those things.
I tell you a funny little story, actually.
Go on.
my brother Cyril, right, he's a good bit older than me now, but at the time my mother was using that washboard, and she was always giving out, you don't have to wash all these clothes in this washboard. So he was only small at the time, but he decided that he was going to bring the washboard down the garden and break it into bits so that she wouldn't have to wash any more clothes. I thought it's so cute, the poor little fella.
And did he get retribution?
No, my mother was actually very calm with us, I have to say. Like, I don't know how she stuck us all. Both of us. Yeah, she was very good, very level-headed with us, actually.
Well, I suppose it was like her lot in life, and I don't say that in a kind of a bad way.
She was a very good mother.
People expected that this is the role, especially if you're a woman, this was your role. You were going to be a mother, usually have loads of kids because there's no contraception.
You weren't allowed.
Especially if you were Catholic.
Imagine that, you weren't allowed.
No.
I actually read an article in the newspaper the other day about a woman who fought her case to be allowed to take the contraceptive pill because her doctor said she would die if she had another pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was back in the 1950s, I believe.
Wow.
You imagine that. She'd go to court to be allowed to take it.
Isn't it amazing? Like, women were dictated to by kind of a tribe of celibate men.
I know.
Telling them what to do.
Supposedly celibate.
Supposedly. That's another...
They weren't very celibate after all.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we live in more peaceful times. Okay, so while, there are wars in the world, and as we record this, the Ukraine thing has gone on.
Yeah.
I remember in the 1980s, the anti-nuclear movement. There was a real... When President Reagan was president of the United States, there was a real kind of fear that him and Gorbachev were going to go to war. Frankie goes on about the two tribes go to war.
Yeah.
There was this thing like they're going to blow up the world, and there was nuclear missiles being placed.
Press the red button.
Yeah, there were nuclear missiles being placed at different locations in England and Scotland, and there was lots of protest, people chaining themselves to railings and all of that because people were honestly convinced. And I remember even the government sent out like a kind of an information pack, what to do in the event of a nuclear war, which was basically take iodine tablets. Lock yourself in a basement if you had one, or get into a bath, a strong bath, or as one of my friends said, then the final thing is you put your head between your knees and you kiss your ass goodbye. Because if there was a nuclear war, where we are in Ireland, if a nuclear bomb went off in Dublin, everything like for about a third of the country would be incinerated. And in all parts, because Ireland is a small enough country, most of the island people would get killed by radiation.
Jesus, yeah.
But
Think about that.
Yeah, but we live in a time now. Well, we have some headers. We're the happy headers, but we have some headers as leaders of governments around the world. But nobody really thinks that we're going to have a nuclear holocaust anytime soon.
Yeah.
So we are living in safer times.
Yeah. I think it's unlikely because I think both, anybody that holds nuclear weapons, they know that if they press that button, that's everything is gone, including them, really. I mean, when is it ever going to be safe to come out of that? Like, are you going to live underground forever? No, thanks. Who wants to do that? Nobody really wants to. But
there's a whole group of people, especially in the United States. I've watched documentaries about this, who are planning for this, like what they call almost like Judgment Day.
Yeah.
They have places where they can go to have years' supplies stocked up and have guns.
Would you want to survive it though? That's good. And guys, comment down below. Would you want to survive a nuclear war or not? I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to survive it. No way. I'd rather be gone.
Take your chances with the next life.
Yeah. No thanks. Exactly.
But the other thing too is that I remember, like the mortality rate for kids in Ireland. Like a lot of kids didn't get beyond 5. With big Irish families, could be 14. Even I know a family that was 22 in it. But they could have had 7 deaths in that family. There could have been lots of kids didn't make it beyond 5. But because of medicine and vaccinations, so we don't like vaccinations. That's another thing. We can expect. The average man can expect to get close to 80. Women can live a little bit longer, and I think that's because women have it easier.
Oh, he's going to go there. He's going to go there.
My life expectancy has just plummeted.
Yeah,
when this video goes off.
Totally dead. I'll get him after this cuts out.
But
he says that to annoy me, by the way.
Just to press her buttons.
Just to poke at me.
It's very easy to press her buttons. But I suppose, the only threats that we're hearing about now, not the only threats, but the most immediate one is like global warming.
Yeah.
And we're told that, again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a kind of a quick end. It's not going to be like a nuclear holocaust, but the temperature's going to rise and rise, and sea levels are going to rise. And they reckon that a lot of the world's population will not be able to stay in the countries that they currently inhabit, like around the equator.
Wow.
And that they'll all have to migrate north,
God,
whether it's cooler.
to survive.
So we get a lot more people coming into Ireland because the climate here, they reckon the climate here is going to get warm enough that we can grow vines and make our own wine.
Wow.
So there's kind of an upside to global warming.
Brilliant.
We'll have loads of wine for everybody who comes into the country.
The first thing into my head was like, oh, we're going to be able to grow pineapples and banana trees.
Yes.
He's thinking of making wine.
Oh yeah.
We're recording this in the morning here as well, lads.
Yes.
Very
Well, you see,
interesting.
if the world does a kind of mess up, it's up to people like me then to make sure that we're all happy.
Oh my God.
Like, you can't be happy with a pineapple.
Remain happy.
Can you? How can you make yourself happy with a pineapple? Don't answer that question.
You sure?
I'm slagging you. Here, but
I can think of a number of ways.
stop, Sean. Women's lot in life has improved. You said, like, your lot was be at home with the 25 kids and your laundry.
Jesus.
And feed them and look after your husband. Your lot has improved.
Yeah.
And I think that changed when we gave you the vote.
Yeah.
I said we gave you the vote.
The poor women had to go out and fight for it, which I really admire them. It's like, geez, they're so brave. And I do often wonder, actually, would I be as brave as they were to go out and fight for that? And I don't know that I would. I have a sister, all right, definitely. She'd definitely fight for it. She would. She's great. She has great, she's very strong in herself, that kind of person.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be strong enough to stand up and fight for something.
You just stay at home with the 125 kids.
Yeah. But like my mom, no, definitely, she was made cut out to be a man. She was, definitely. She's very maternal.
But I was looking through, it was pictures of old Ireland, 100, 150 years ago, and they digitally remastered the pictures so they were colour and they were in focus and everything. You really see people, their faces and read their emotions in their faces.
Well.
But a lot of 2 or 3 generations of women standing out to the house, the granny, the mother and the daughter, and they all engaged in either fixing clothes, repairing, darning socks and things like that, and that was their lot. And women were considered less intelligent than men. They were like a sub-species. But it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They didn't give them education anyways.
No,
they got a bit of education in national school, but your lot was to, you go off and you get married. That was your, you never could look forward to having a career.
Yeah. I think my mother, she said all right, she wanted to be a maths teacher. That's what she wanted to do, actually. Yeah, and she was very good at maths, and she was actually a very good teacher. She would have been great at it.
And then women had to give up their job when they got married.
Oh yeah, Jesus. Mad, it's come on leaps and bounds, hasn't it?
It has.
But then I think when it was transitioning, it was extremely hard for women then, because not only did they have to rear a family, but they had to work as well. It was nearly like, unless you married a man that was understanding of that, or who had evolved indeed and didn't stay stuck in the past like Paul, then you ended up doing all the housework, rearing the children, and going to work as well.
And getting me my pipe and my slippers when I came home after a hard day.
Have dinner ready for your man as well, on top of your own job.
And walk my dog.
Yeah, mad stuff altogether.
But even today, modern day, I was listening to a lady on radio. She's I think she's Minister for Justice. I can't actually remember her name, in Ireland. And she was talking about that. I think she was the first minister that had to take maternity leave. And there was no provision for it, because when the constitution was set up, it was set up by men.
Yeah,
100 years ago. And they never had to legislate for a woman being in a position of power, a minister, and having to take time off to look after her family.
Yeah.
And they're still working on legislation. Apparently it's very, very, very difficult.
Yeah. It's bad because now, like in big companies, I suppose, you can get paternity leave then for dads. They can take parental leave as well.
Can you claim that retrospectively?
Elaborate, Paul.
Well, my kids aren't kids anymore. They're grown up.
My
but can
God.
I claim...
I don't think you can go back that far.
I mean, that...
Anyway, listen, we have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
We're going on now.
Yeah. But check out our next video, because we're going to be talking about why do we laugh. She laughs a lot.
I do, actually. I'm desperate.
An awful lot.
It's a nervous thing, lads.
It is.
sometimes.
I thought you should be comfortable around me at this point.
Sure I am. No.
Anyways, we're happy headers and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a million for listening, guys.